Hello, 6th grade B.I.T students. Today we're going to start our 4th unit. It's called Introduction to Presentations. So we're going to click right here on my Canvas homepage and go to modules. Remember, in 6th grade B.I.T class, every assignment is in modules. The first thing you should do when you load up a module is immediately look and see, and I've pointed this out before, any module that has points and a due date under it, any step in the module where you see this right here, that means that is an assignment you will be graded and you will get points for it on your grade. So you can see step 1, learning.com presentations, you can see a due date and you can see how many points. Now make sure you check on your Canvas page because these due dates are subject to change and yours may not be the exact date you see here. But this lesson's worth 13 points, and you can see down here you have an All About Me presentation, and you can see the date that it's due and that it's worth 24 points. So with every module, we always start with the first step. I'm going to click here. Today we're going to begin our unit on presentations. A presentation is a digital tool you can use when you want to show, describe, or explain something to a group of people. Your presentation should be a summary of what you're telling the audience. Think of it as your sidekick for your audience members to look at while they're not paying attention to you. When you do a presentation, you never want to put every single thing you're going to say in a presentation because then you just have paragraphs up on the screen and that can bore your audience. So summarize what you're going to say, put it on the slides, and you can always say more than you actually put on your slides. You've probably used PowerPoint to make a presentation in the past, or maybe you have used Google Slides, but in 6th grade B.I.T class, we'll always use Google Slides. That's in your Google Drive, and we use that to make our presentations. They each have their advantages, but for what we will be doing in school, Google Slides is the best choice for us. So let's scroll down. Right off the bat, we're doing another learning.com lesson. You've done this before. Click the button, you can see it right down here. I've put this big text right here to point out, and these arrows that the button is right down here where you can see my mouse. This lesson will discuss how to make the best and most effective presentations. Click on grades on the left-hand side of Canvas when you're finished with the lesson to see your grade. This lesson is worth 13 points. You can take this lesson as many times as you want to get the best grade up until the due date, and it will automatically update your grade in Canvas if you do get a better grade. So once you finish the lesson, and I'll show you this in a second, you just go up here to grades where you can see my mouse and click on it and you'll see exactly your score. So to get started with step 1, we're going to click to load the learning.com presentation, and we just hit play.
Using slide presentation software. Consistency and visual design.
Now you know these lessons, they talk to you, they tell you what to do.
Jen,
you
Raul,
just
and
listen
I have been working on the slides
directions.
for our presentation at Snap Studio's Young Innovation Competition. We made some good progress, but there is still a bit more to do. I'll be the primary speaker on stage, so I want to review what changes have been made to see how the slides will look while I'm presenting. Sometimes it's easy to think you've done a great job, but when you review your work, you find a number of things that could be improved, like spelling mistakes, overcrowded text, or just bad
so as you
layouts.
can see, they're giving you some tips
One
on how to
choice
make
Raul
an
made
effective
was
presentation.
to shorten our bios
and that's
and
what you'll
include them
be
on
doing
one
in
slide
this lesson.
rather than 3 different ones, since there is a 10-slide limit in the competition. Let me see how that looks. To preview our work, I'll simply choose the slideshow option
So as you can
from the
see, this
toolbar
is very
and then press
similar
the From
to
Start
Google
button.
Slides. You'll have some very
Review the work by playing a
familiar
preview.
buttons and layouts. So you can see right on the very first task they're going to ask me to do is select slideshow and then select from start and click or tap through each slide. So we're going to go up here to the top. You can see where it says slideshow. We're going to select from start, and I can start to click on each slide, and we can go through the steps, or each slide in our presentation one
Great!
by one.
Now I
So
can
this
see
is
what's
just
been
showing us how to
accomplished and what could be
show
improved.
your slideshow.
The first problem I see is
So
that
I
certain
will
elements
skip
on the
ahead to when we
individual
get to the
slides
end of this
are not very
lesson
consistent.
and show you how to check
We
your
each
grade.
chose a different way to emphasize.
So as you can see, we're now to the very end of the lesson.
Choices
So I paused it to kind of show you.
about font and color, and use layouts, lists, and arrows to organize and illustrate our key ideas. I can't wait to show it to my teammates. We still have a bit of work to do before it's finished, and a lot of practicing, but we are definitely on track. Good thing, because our presentation is right around the corner.
So now that I've completed the learning.com presentations lesson, I got the certificate, I closed the certificate, I just go up here in Canvas to grades right here on the left. I click on that, and you're going to see right down here, learning.com presentations. I can see that I got a 13 out of 13. Now I actually missed a couple of those, but it didn't cost me anything. I kind of clicked on the wrong thing or chose the wrong option, and it still gave me a perfect score, so that was nice. You're going to have to miss a few to start losing points. It's pretty lenient with the grading. As long as you follow directions and you do what it says, you should do fine on this. If you do not like the score, go back to modules and start it over. It took me about 15 minutes to complete the lesson, and I was done. So now ready to go right back to modules, and we're ready to go on to step 2, presentation tips for the best presentations. Now, when you create a presentation, you want to make sure you do your best job to make your presentation as effective and as efficient as it can be. And to create the best presentation, there's some general guidelines that you can follow. Even though Google Slides and PowerPoint allow you to use a lot of colors, a lot of designs and themes and animations and sounds, it isn't always the best idea to use all those features just because you can. So every presentation you create should actually be simple, it should be easy on the eyes, and it should be very easy to read. So here's top 8 tips for you when you create a presentation to kind of keep in mind. Each slide in your presentation should have a capitalized title at the top, summarizing what that slide is about. If you want your titles to stand out and be really cool and eye-catching, I have these 2 websites called Cool Text and Flaming Text, and you can use those to make really neat titles at the top of your slide. I'm going to show you how to do that later. All background colors and text colors should be contrasting. That means you should always use dark text on a light background and light text on a dark background. For example, if your slide background is black, you want to use white text on that. You don't want to use navy text because the navy text will blend in with that black and it'll make it hard to read. So if you do have a white background, you want to use a black or a navy or a dark purple or a dark red text because it'll make your text really pop. You never want to use an image as the background of your slide, and I see a lot of kids do this, and they find a picture and they make it the background, they put text over the top of it, and sure, it might look cool, but it can make your text very hard to read. If your picture has white in it and your text is white, then it makes some of that text hard to see. You should always choose one slide transition or animation that you like and apply it to all the slides in your presentation. A slide transition is, say this is slide 1, it's how it changes from slide 1 to slide 2. You can make it just instantly appear slide 2, or you can make slide 1 kind of move up in the air, you can make it go down, you can make it kind of disappear. So you just want to pick one transition, apply it to the whole presentation, and go from there. Only use sound or music if it's absolutely necessary. Most of the time, sounds and music are more distracting than helpful. Use bulleted lists to summarize information whenever possible, or even numbered lists. Nobody wants to look up at a slide that has like 3 paragraphs of text on it. You're going to bore your audience. They're just going to say, oh, I don't want to read all of this. I don't want to hear all of this. But if you can chunk it up into little parts, you can always say more than is on your slide. So put some short little bullets, and then you can talk more about them in detail. Always use proper grammar, spelling, and punctuation. If you're summarizing information, you need to use complete sentences. One thing that if you're going to do a bulleted list of, say your favorite movies or your hobbies, those don't have to be complete sentences. But any other time, you want to make sure you're using capital letters and punctuation and writing complete sentences. And images can be very powerful in a presentation. They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So use images that support your ideas and are appropriate for your presentation and audience. I've had kids tell me hobbies. They'll have a list of their hobbies, and they'll say they like to play video games, they like to read books, they like to go outside and run and hike, and then they'll have a picture of McDonald's. And they don't even mention McDonald's. So that picture doesn't make any sense on that slide. So whatever you're talking about, make sure you choose pictures that go right along with what you're saying. So I'm going to go to next, and we're on step 3, and now we're ready to start our presentation. The instructions to start your presentation can be found right here. Notice first we need to log into our Google Drive account. Now you probably still have my Canvas homepage open, and you can see whether you're e-learning or learning in person. There is a link right here under resources to go to your Google Drive account. Now here's a little pro tip. If you notice, my link actually already fills in the gws.k12.in.us for you, but you need to log into your school account. So I'm going to use the fake student account. Remember, when you're logging into your school Google account, you have to put a capital GW in front of your password. This is the only website right now where you have to put the capital GW in front of it, but you have to put a capital GW in front of your school password to log into Google. So I'm going to put in my password, and you can see I'm now logged into my Google Drive. Let's go back over here. We're going to click on New, then Google Slides. So when we're in our Google Drive account, we're just going to go up here to this New button. It has the colorful cross next to it. I click on that, I go to Google Slides, and it's going to open a very generic Google Slides. Now right off the bat, you can see over here where it says Themes. Themes are what you learned in your learning.com lesson, where they apply a color scheme to your slides. So you can scroll down and pick one. If you pick one and you want to change your mind, you can always change it later. So I'm going to scroll down, and let's just choose maybe this black and green one. So I click on that. Once I have my themes, I can close the box up here that says Themes. So let's go back to Canvas. Click on the link below to read the requirements and see an example for your slideshow. So you can just click down here on the text that says All About Me Presentation Requirements, and it'll open a Google Doc where I've detailed everything that you need to know. So to get full credit for each slide, you must have all the requirements without any spelling, punctuation, or grammar errors. Each slide should be easy on the eyes and easy to read, and your presentation should have no more than 7 slides. So every slide presentation is expected to have 7 slides. So I'm going to go over here, and right up here in the corner where this little plus is, just click the plus button and go ahead and add 7 slides. So now I have 7. You're going to notice your title slide is a different color scheme than the rest of your slides. This is totally normal. It's to make the title slide kind of stand out and get your audience's attention. So don't be alarmed if you notice that your first slide is a different color than all of the rest. So one thing that's really important anytime you create a document or a slideshow or even a spreadsheet in Google is you want to name that document or slideshow. So right up here in the corner where it says Untitled Presentation, I'm going to click on that and I'm going to type in All About Me. That's going to make it easier later when you have to submit this and turn it in on Canvas, that you can find it very easily. So let's go back and look at this, the requirements. If you notice on this document, I've detailed some of the requirements for your slides, what you should put on each slide, but if you scroll to the second page, you can even see an example that I've completed for you, and then the third page is how you're going to be graded. Notice this is out of 24 points. So I'm going to scroll back up. There's a few requirements that you need to have in your slideshow. Every slide should have a title, so when you watch me do this, notice that every slide that I create, I put a title at the top. You should only have one slide transition applied to the presentation. We talked about that when I was discussing the 8 tips for an effective presentation. I'll go over this later. Now here's a few requirements that you're going to have to keep in mind. You don't want to forget because you get points for doing this. You need to have an example of a table in your presentation. You need a bulleted list. You need one numbered list. You need 6 images total. Now that doesn't mean 6 images per slide. That means if you count all the pictures on all 7 of your slides, you should have at least 6. You can have more, and I'll show you how to do that. And next, you should include at least one shape in your presentation. So let's scroll down. I'm telling you right here what's on slide 1. That's your title slide. It includes the title, All About Me, and your name. So I'm going to go over here where it says add a title. Be sure you capitalize it because it is a title. And then in the subtitle, I'm going to put by and then me. Now notice these titles, you can drag them around. If you'd like to put it up here, you can do that. You could take your name, you could drag it down a little bit if you wanted to lower it. And notice I have a big blank space if I wanted to put a picture. And I'm going to come back and do pictures later. I like to go ahead and get the content or all the text on my slides and then go back and add the pictures. It's kind of fun because it's part of the finishing process. So let's go to slide 2. This is your family slide. This includes the title, My Family, and then at least 4 sentences about your family. You can talk about who you live with. I consider pets a part of your family. If you want to talk about your pets, you can talk about if you have family that live in another state or another country, if you have any brothers or sisters and what schools they go to. Any information that you want to share, it's up to you. So I'm going to go over here to slide 2, up here where it says add a title. I'm going to type in My Family. Notice I've capitalized both my and family because it is a title. Down here in the box, I'm just going to type 4 sentences. So I could say I live with my wife and 2 daughters. We have 2 cats named Meryl and Alice. My daughters go to Greenwood High School and Greenwood Middle School. I have family that live in Kentucky. You're supposed to have 4 sentences, so I live with my wife and 2 daughters. We have 2 cats named Meryl and Alice. My daughters go to Greenwood High School and Greenwood Middle School, and I have family that live in Kentucky. Now, one thing you can do with this text box, notice that the text is going all the way across the slide. You can resize your text box and maybe move it so your text is over here on one side of the slide, and you've opened up a lot of space over here to add a picture. So I'm going to add pictures later. Now we're ready to go back to the guide, and let's look at slides 3, 4, 5, and 6. Notice these next 4 slides, I've given you a host of topics that you can choose from. You can pick any of these that you want to talk about. Let's not forget that we need to have at least 1 table, 1 bulleted list, and 1 numbered list. So this is the area where we're going to try to incorporate a table on one slide, a bulleted list on another slide, and a numbered list on a third slide. So if you scroll down and you want to look at my examples, I don't care if you use some of the same ideas that I did. Notice my slide 3 right here, I chose my hobbies, and I just listed a few of my hobbies with a bulleted list. So we could choose something like my hobbies and go ahead and show me that you know how to effectively use a bulleted list. So let's go to slide 3. I would type in a title, My Hobbies, and notice over here on the guide, that is one of the choices that you can choose from what you want to share on your slides. So we're just going to click down here in the text box, and just like you saw in your learning.com lesson, right up here at the top of my screen I have what's called bulleted list. And if you click the arrow next to it, you can choose exactly what your bullet looks like. So I'm going to use stars. And when you're doing a list of things, this isn't necessarily when you have to use complete sentences. It's okay to put a few words. So I'm going to list some of the things that I enjoy doing. I like to play video games. I like to make music. I like watching movies. I like hanging outside. I like to design and 3D print. That's one of my newer hobbies. And when I'm done, I've got like, 5 things. I would say make your list at least 4 lines long. I'm going to go over here and do what I did before. I'm just going to move the text box over, and then later I can start to add pictures of video games and music and movies, and we can add those images. Now I noticed this make music, let's say making music, it makes more sense. And I'm going to add these images later. So now notice I've got my bulleted list done. So now all I need is a table and a numbered list. Let's go to slide 4. You can see my choice was just a generic my favorite slide here. And this is where I used a table. So you don't have to use your table on slide 4, but you have to use a table somewhere. So this is a great chance to do it. So I'm just going to go to my slide 4. I'm going to click up here, and let's just call it like my favorites, or you could call it my favorite things. And I'm not going to use a text box. So we can get rid of this text box just by clicking in the text box, and then just click on one of the blue lines. See how my mouse looks like a cross? And then if I hit backspace on my keyboard or delete, it'll just delete that. To add the table in here, I'm going to go up to the top on the toolbar, and I'm going to click on Insert. I'm going to go to Table, and a really good size table is 2 columns. So we're going to have 2 columns wide, and we're going to go down 5 rows. So you should see that I have made a 2 by 5. And what I can do is I can click in this table, and I can start to add, maybe just select a few of my favorite things, and on the right list what they are. If you look at my example right here, I did, my favorite food, and I listed it. My favorite drink, and I listed it. My favorite sport, and I listed it. So I'm going to go back to my table, and I'm going to type over here, my favorite food, and then over here I'll list what it is. And the way I just went from this cell over here was I just hit tab on my keyboard, and I don't have to take my hands off the keyboard. My favorite food, sushi, hit tab. My favorite teams, Colts and Kentucky Wildcats, tab. My favorite drink is cherry limeade. I really love the cherry limeade at Sonic, and I love their ice that they make with it. My next, I could say my favorite video game, and over here I would type it in. And finally, we need one more thing, my favorite movie, and I could type the name of the movie right over here. Now if you notice your background is dark and your text is dark, remember I could just highlight the whole table. I can go right up here at the top of my screen where it says text color. Down here are the theme colors that when I chose my theme, here's some of the colors. I'm going to try maybe a dark green. And you can see that my text is kind of a darker green. You can move your table around just by clicking on the edge of it wherever you want. And I could actually maybe move the table up here, and notice I have space at the bottom of my screen to add pictures of these later. So now we're ready to go to slide 5. So let's go to the guide. We do have the bulleted list, we have the table. now would be a good chance to hurry up and go ahead and get our numbered list so we don't have to worry about it anymore. On my example, I said best places to eat. So you could look up here for some ideas. Your favorite foods. You could list my top 3 favorite foods, my top 4 favorite things to do when not in school. You know, my top 3 favorite bands. So I'm going to do one and talk about my favorite, video games. So I'm going to go back to my presentation. I'll put in here my top 3 favorite video games. And this gives me a chance to go ahead and use the numbered list. I'm going to go right up here at the top. It looks like a numbered list on the toolbar. If I put my mouse over it, it says numbered list. Number 1 would be my number 1 favorite, and I already told you what that was on the favorite slide. I can go ahead and put in another one that is my all-time favorite, and this game is called Warhawk. It was on PS3, and most of you have never played that. And then I could hit enter, and I know a lot of you like that game. I can go ahead and move the text box over, and then later when I go back and add images, I have all this room to add images all around the slide. So now we're on slide 6. This is one where you could just add whatever you want. I listed some of my favorite things about school. You can choose anything else up here on the guide that you want to talk about, things you like about school, your favorite classes, your plans after high school where you can actually write out what you want to do, your best friends, your favorite actors, your favorite songs. So I'm just going to put on here my favorite places to eat. And since I'm not saying it's a top 10 or a top 3, I can go ahead and use maybe bullets here and go back up here. And before I chose, I believe, stars. So maybe we'll choose some arrows now. So my favorite places to eat. I like to go to Ichiban. A lot of you probably enjoy chicken wings. I like Buffalo Wild Wings and Arby's. I like BJ's over by the mall. So there's a few of my favorite places. I'll resize the text box just to leave me a bunch of space up over here to add images later. When you get to slide 7, this is something that's actually kind of fun and allows you to be creative, and you can draw a picture of your future. So this is called Future Slide. This is simple. All you need is a title called My Future and a snapshot of you 20 years from now. If I were to run into you 20 years from today and you're working, making money in your career, what is your dream career? What do you hope to be doing to make money? Now this is very simple. It's just a title. All you need is a title called My Future. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to slide 7 and I'm going to call it My Future. This text box, you don't need it because this slide is only going to be a picture. So I'm going to click in the text box. I'm going to click on the blue lines, the edges of it, and then I can hit backspace on my keyboard and it disappears. So you can create this picture by drawing it on paper. If you're more comfortable just getting out a piece of computer paper or even notebook paper and just drawing the picture, you can draw it on paper and you could hold it up to your webcam and take a picture if you'd like. Or you can use this website called sketch.io and you could draw it on there. And I want to point out, if you do use sketch.io, it'll automatically save the image on your computer. You don't really have to save it, and every time you go back to Sketch.io, your image will be there and you can continue editing it and continue working on it. Now this future slide, this should be something you do completely last. So I'm going to come back to this after we start to add images to our slideshow. So I'm going to go back to slide 1, and now I'm ready to start adding pictures. There are multiple ways that you can add images to your slides. You can go on to Google and just look for images. You can take a picture with your webcam on your laptop or one that's plugged into your computer and just take a little selfie right there. You can also just upload images you've already taken that may already be on your Chromebook or your laptop or your computer. And I'm going to try to show you all of those ways. To insert an image, you have to go up to the top where it says Insert Image, and you'll see you have a lot of choices. There's also a picture here that says Insert Image, and if you click the arrow, you'll also see that you have choices there. If you have any pictures saved in your Google Drive, you could click here. We're going to start now. I have on my computer here, I made a little folder on my desktop. Now I'm just using a desktop computer, and I put some pictures in there that we've taken here at my house. So what I could do is go back to Google, and if you have pictures on your computer or pictures on your Chromebook, you need to upload them. So I go to Insert Image, Upload from the computer, and it wants to know where those images are. So I'm going to go to my desktop. I made a folder here called All About Me. You would go directly to wherever you may have images saved, and I have a little picture here of myself, and this could be on my title. So the next slide, so remember, we need to have 6 pictures total. I already have one. The next one, I talked about my family and my cats. I could go up to Insert, I could go to Image, I could upload another one. Here's a picture of my family. I could maybe slide it up here. There's still room to add my cats as well. So I'll do Insert, Image, Upload from the computer. Here's one of my little cats. And I'm going to put another one over here, so we'll do it again. Insert Image, Upload from the computer, and there's my cats. Now one thing that I'm going to show you is you can also search on the internet. So let's go to my next slide where it says playing video games, making music. We could go to Insert Image and search the web. So I'm going to click on that, and it opens a little search box. Let's try it again. Insert Image, search the web, and I said playing video games. So I might put in video games, and here's a picture. Here's someone playing a PlayStation. I click it. I go down here to the bottom where it says Insert, and I click on that, and that picture will now be on my slide. So I can go making music, Insert Image, search the web. I might put in making music, hit enter, and you might see here's some pictures of all different types of things for making music. Here's something more of like what I do since I use electronic devices to create it. Maybe I'll put this on here. We could do another image. Watching movies, hanging outside, 3D printing. So I could go to Insert, Image, search the web. Let's see what they have for 3D printing. And here we go. This one's kind of cool. It's a 3D printer. I hit Insert, and you can see that I now have another picture. So you don't have to necessarily put a picture for every single one of your hobbies, but you can already tell I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pictures. That doesn't mean you shouldn't put pictures on the rest of your slides, but I already have the required 6 images. So the next one says my favorite things. So there's something else you can do is you can just do a Google image search and go find pictures and just copy and paste them right onto your slide. So I said I like sushi. I could go to Insert Image, search the web, and put in sushi, and you'll see a bunch of sushi pictures. Or if I wanted, I could just go up to the top and open a new slide and just put in sushi. And I'm going to go to the top of my screen, and I'm going to click on Images, and I'm going to find a picture that I like. Maybe I click this one, and I just right-click on the picture. Now, remember, you have to click the picture first. So click it once, then right-click and copy the image. So I'm going to copy it. I go over here. I paste it somewhere. I'm just click down here at the bottom. The picture might be huge, so you'll have to resize it, but I can make it smaller. I could slide it in. I could put in, you know, Colts logo. So we could go up here and put in, you know, Colts logo. Click on that. Click it. Copy image. Go back over here. I could paste it. And we have the Colts logo. I could put in, you know, cherry limeade. So I could go over here. Cherry limeade. And let's see if we get, ooh, yummy. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to right click, copy the image, go back to my slide, and maybe paste that in. And we just resize it, and boom, I could fit this picture on here. So there's a lot of different ways that you can add images. Let's go back to the first slide, and I used a real picture. Let's say that you don't have a real picture on your computer that you want to use. So I'm just going to delete this, and one quick way you can get just a generic image of a boy. I could go up here and go to image. I could go to, you know, insert image, search the web, and put in boy clip art. And clip art are just kind of like cartoon images. So I could just find a regular boy, like this guy, insert it, and it said it couldn't. Let's try it one more time. Search the web, boy clip art. Let's add this kid. We'll insert it. It pops up. Slide it over here. And that's going to get you just as many points as if you use a real picture. If we go to family, let's say I delete this picture. If you don't have a picture of you and your family, just go to insert image, search the web, and put in family clip art. And you could find just a picture of a family. You could click it. You could go to insert, and you could just have kind of a generic image of a family. And that'll get you just as many points. So just put clip art after your image. Finally, we have our top 3 video games. I was to here. I could go to Google. I could put in Warhawk game. This was a PS3 game. Here's the image. I copy the image. I could go over here and paste it. Really simple. Resize it so it doesn't take up too much space. We had Call of Duty. And click it. Copy the image, go back over here and paste it. Some of them will be really large, so you'll just have to kind of resize and drag them around. We had NBA, and the new one is NBA 2K21, I believe. And we can click it. And let's see, here's the cover of it. I'm going to copy that image. I'm going to paste it over here, resize it, and you can see that now I have my top 3 favorite video games, and I have, you know, some images there. You can go on and do this for places to eat, and that's how you add images to your All About Me. So I went ahead and added these images for my slide 6 for my favorite places to eat, just so I could have it all finished up. And there's one more thing that we can do before we start working on this slide 7, my future. So let's go back to the first slide, and we're going to go back up here to Canvas. And if you remember on step 2 where I had the tips for you, the very first tips said that each slide should have a capitalized title at the top. And if you look at our presentation, every slide has a title at the top. But if you want to make your titles kind of a little cooler, more colorful, a little jazzier, you can use websites that I've mentioned here, cooltext.com or flamingtext.com. So if I just say click on Cool Text, you have all these crazy texts. I could click on one, let's say skate. The colors we were using were kind of green, and we can go up to the theme. We don't want to change the theme, but we could go, you know, highlight a color, change the text color, and you can see all the theme colors. There was an orange, a maroon, so we could use some of those colors when we create a title. But when we're on Cool Text, We can type in what we want our title to say, all about me. You can go down here and change the logo. And if you scroll down, you can change the font for how this title is written. So I'm going to go down and let's choose maybe Orbitron. I'll go to the logo. I can choose a couple of colors. I could choose maybe a dark green. We could have that transition. Notice it's 2 colors. So maybe we could use like a crazy kind of an orange color. Maybe a lighter color. Notice the, if I keep going, there's a shadow. And I like to choose to use a sharp shadow. And if you just mess with the X and Y axis of your shadow, you're going to start to notice a shadow popping out behind it. We can change the shadow color if you want. When you have the color, the title the way you want, just right click on it and go to copy image. And if you go back over here, you can just paste that image. Boom. So I can click on this title, click on the blue line, hit backspace or delete. I can drag this in, and now we have a title that stands out a little more, kind of has a, a neat style to it. And you could do this for every slide. I would recommend making all the slide titles the same. So we could go back to our title we made. Let's go back to text and just change it to each one, copy and paste it. So I would copy this image, go back over here, I could paste it. Let's click on the title, click on the blue line and delete it. And I could just go through and do this for each and every slide. So we would go back to cool text. We have my hobbies now. Copy that image. Go back over here and paste it. The next one is my favorite things. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Go over here and type it in. Create a logo. We don't even have to hit create if you don't want to. Copy image. Paste it. Notice my title stands out a lot. Go to edit. The next one says my top 3 favorite video games. I'm going to go ahead and delete that. Go back in here and change it. Be sure that you capitalize these titles, because if you don't, you'll have to go back and create the title all over again just to capitalize like one word. So we have my favorite places to eat. Copy that image. And you can tell this only maybe takes you about, say, 5 minutes and you're done. So we can kind of squeeze this in up here, make it a little bigger. And then we have my future. So we could copy, make sure we spell it right, copy this image, go back, delete this, and we will paste it. If you want to use the other website, Flaming Text, it works pretty much the same way. If I were to put in all about me, I can go down, you could go down here, you could just click get started, or you can find one just by flipping through that maybe you like. You can always change the color of them. So maybe I choose the one that says fabulous. You can choose kind of a design down here. I can say all about me. I can go to the logo. I can change the color. Maybe we get this green, kind of a dark green. Notice it has a kind of a red around it. So that's the shadow. Maybe we can make that black to really kind of make it stand out. You can right click. Notice this one will not let you copy it, so you will have to go to the very end. From here, you can copy it. So if you wanted to use the Flaming Text That's how you do that, and you could paste it and you would have this text. I like the other one I made better, so I'm just going to hit undo up here. And once you have all of your titles on each slide that you've made, now you're ready to go down and work on My Future. Now to draw your slide 7, My Future slide, I'm going to go back to the presentation guide. Remember, this slide 7 is very simple. It's just the title and then a picture of you 20 years from now. Whatever it is, your dream job that you hope to be doing in 20 years as a career to make money, I should be able to look at that picture and tell what it is. You don't have to be a great artist. If you're going to be a doctor, I should be able to look at the picture and say, oh, you want to be a doctor. If you go onto Google and just simply, search for a picture of a doctor and put that in, you will not get full credit. I want you to try to draw your own image. If you're more comfortable doing it on a piece of paper with colored pencils and drawing it, you could just hold it up in front of your webcam and take a picture and put that in, and that would get you just as much credit as if you do it here on Sketch.io. I'm going to show you how to really quickly throw something together on Sketch.io. You just click this link, you open it up in a new tab, and right off the bat you see your canvas here. I like to start up here in the corner on the zoom and click on that and zoom all the way out so I can see the entire canvas. You can obviously click on it and kind of move it around so the canvas is exactly where you can see everything. And then we're going to start by going on the left where it says this star, or you may have a shape there. That's how you do a shape. So we're going to start with an ellipse and draw a head. Now notice if I draw that, it's colored with a blue color. So let's undo that and go over here to fill. And we want that to be just a solid color. So we're just going to click color, pick a skin tone that you feel represents the color of your skin or what you feel comfortable with. I'm going to scroll down here and pick one for me. And we're going to start by drawing a head. Then we're going to choose fill, and I'm going to click off of that first, and I'm going to choose white, and we're just going to draw eyes. So I'm going to draw 2 of those. If they're not lined up, just click on it and kind of drag it down. Next, we could draw another one where we do the pupils, and you might need to click kind of under your eye to get that, and then you can kind of drag that over a little bit. I'm going to start down here. Notice it kind of draws above where you actually click. I'm going to go over here to this paint bucket, and we're going to choose to fill, and I'm going to choose another color, and my eyes are dark green, so I'm going to choose that, and I'm just going to click in that box to color those in. Finally, we choose our pen, so we're going to go up here. Yours may say calligraphy. We'll choose a pen, and we are just going to click in here and kind of put a little bit of a black just by dragging around and kind of drawing a circle for pupils. I'm going to undo that one because it looks terrifying. And we kind of have some pupils. Now we need to draw a nose. Now if I just use my pen, you could just draw a nose of some sort. If you notice that your nose looks really weird, if you start to draw and it's doing this and coloring it in, it's because you have this, you don't want to fill in when you're using a pen or a pencil. So just turn off fill, just click on the % and make it erase. And you can just kind of draw a little nose, and we could draw a mouth. You could fill those in over here by clicking on the paint bucket, the fill. Now I'm going to choose just a kind of a slight lip color here. If I click on this, notice it filled in everything. So I'm going to undo, and it's because we need to change fill to pixel fill. And you should be able, if we go to color again and we choose just a light pink color for lips, I should be able, there we go, We can get it to stick. To click in here, and we can now fill in the lips with a color just by kind of clicking around. I clicked one too many times. I'm going to go back to the pen. I'm just going to choose, to kind of draw my arms, and we're going to draw part of my body. That's too much. And we can draw hands here. And we'll just kind of have my other arm down to the side. Again, I know it is not perfect, but I just want to show you how you can do this kind of easily. I'm going to click down here on the bucket. Let's say I want to wear a blue shirt. Make sure it's on pixel fill. Click in there. If you notice that it's not completely, coloring in your thing, you may have a leak. So I think right here, notice in my armpit, there's a hole. I need to make sure that's completely filled in. We'll go over this just a little more. We'll go back to fill. We'll click in there, and now it works. So I'm going to go back and add some hair. There's a spray paint. We could mess around with that. That's obviously very thick. So we could make it thinner. And you could even, spray paint on some hair if you wanted to. Now, obviously, your hair isn't all one color. So you could actually change it to maybe, a little bit of a different. If I chose, let's say this, we could choose a dark brown and kind of add that in there too. So we get a two-toned color of my hair if I wanted. We have kind of some blacks and some browns. Now I'm going to draw some computer screens. I'm going to go back over here to the shapes. We're going to choose, a rectangle. And I want to fill that in with black. Boom. I'll do another one. Boom. And then we can fill one in with a silver color for the screen. I'm going to undo. You have to click off of it. Now we can draw right inside. We'll have a couple of computers. And I might even add the back of a kid's head here. So we could choose an ellipse. We'll fill it in where we'll have kind of a blonde-headed kid is right here, looking at the computer. Maybe we have a kid that's got darker hair. And we could put their head in front of a computer. You can drag it where you want. We could use the pen up here again, or the pencil even, and kind of draw their body. Like we're looking at them from behind. Some little hands. And I know this is not perfect, but the cool thing is that you guys will be able to do your own design, and you'll know when you're done. You can say, hey, I'm a better artist than Mr. Dean. So maybe I want to put, something up here at the top that says we're in computer class. I'm going to go ahead really quick and fill in these kids' shirts just to give my painting a little more color. We have one kid wearing red. Oops. That probably means there's a leak somewhere. So we would have to go through and find out where my where I have this leak. And it appears it might be right in here. And we can try it again. There we go. This kid could be wearing blue or pink, and then we'll click over here, and this kid here could be wearing blue. And we could fill in their hands. I gotta click off and get the actual color. Now we have some hands, and maybe I add a text box to help show exactly what these kids are doing. So we could add text. I could just draw a box. And we have a banner up here. Welcome to computer class. And you could keep adding things to this as you want. Now I want to get this into my slide 7 so we can be done. I'm going to go down here and click export. If you notice down here in the left, we can click export, and I'm going to choose to download up here and just hit download. I didn't change any of the settings. You can see it's down here at the bottom of my screen. I would go to slide 7. I would insert an image. I would upload it from my computer. It's in my downloads, and you can see the first choice says My Drawing Sketchpad. I click on it, I add that in, and you can see Mr. Dean is a computer teacher. Now that's not as good as my example because I obviously spent a lot more time on this one, but I wanted to do one really quick for an example for you today. This would be a perfect score, 100%, on the All About Me presentation. If you want to double check, go to the guide and scroll all the way down, and you can see how I'm going to grade it. And look at your presentation, look at the grading rubric, make sure you have everything in this column here so that you can get a 4, and you will know that you will get the best grade possible. Good luck as you work on your All About Me presentation.